Okay, we are officially live. Let me make sure I'm centered here correctly. There we go. So, welcome, friends. I am here today with Annie Ransom. She's the branch manager at All Pacific Mortgage.
Hey guys.
Hello. She's a business partner of mine through American Dream TV. Where we feature lifestyle and real estate, and obviously the lifestyle and the real estate is both dramatically changing right now in the Metro Portland market, the state of Oregon, the world. Like, everything is changing, and I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries about, like, how does this affect people, and what's going on in the mortgage market, what's happening with real estate. And that's why I thought it was important to bring Annie in today to talk about the mortgage market, because there have been dramatic changes. So let's just start there, Annie, and talk to me for a minute about what are some of the changes that you're seeing? How do they affect people? And what can people do about it?
Sure, absolutely. So lots of folks have been hearing a lot of buzz in the world in terms of what's happening with interest rates. Interest rates dropped over a matter of 6 days, a full percent, which caused a complete frenzy in the marketplace. Just to give some perspective, the mortgage industry any given year is capable of handling about $2 to $3 trillion worth of loans. Mm-hmm. And within a 6-day period of time, we had about 10 trillion loans. The demand for about 10 trillion loans, and it sort of broke the system. So these banks didn't necessarily have the capacity in order to handle them. So they started selling off their assets to free up cash because they needed it. And that caused interest rates within about a 24-hour period of time to increase by a full percent, bringing the mortgage industry to almost a screeching halt unless you're in contract to purchase a property.
Yeah.
So lots of buzz happened. The Fed met on a Sunday for an emergency meeting because of everything that's happening with the coronavirus and the economy and whatnot, and drastically dropped the federal funds rate. Mm-hmm. And anybody in the mortgage industry, their phone started ringing off the hook on a Sunday afternoon because people heard of the Fed doing this to interest. What's really important to understand is that the Fed lowering that rate is not a direct impact to mortgage rates. That helps things like short-term purchases. We see it in our credit card statements. We see it if you have a home equity line of credit, auto loan purchases, really short, smaller purchases in the grand scheme of things. But there's only one thing that affects mortgage rates, and that's the bond market. Everything else in the world affects the bond market. So that's where we saw that large teeter-totter between a full percent down and a full percent increase within a very short period of time. Yeah. The good news is that the Fed also announced during that emergency meeting that they would start pumping money into the bond market. They were going to buy up mortgage-backed securities, something that they did during 2008, 2010 to help stimulate and continue to encourage mortgage lending and real estate purchases. Mm-hmm. And we started seeing that on Friday and quite a bit today too. The market improved a substantial amount today. So we'll start seeing that occur in rate sheets, and lenders will continue lending at these new low rates to help stimulate and continue encouraging that mortgage production. So the markets are really emotional. They always are. And of course, especially now, leave it to a pandemic, a global crisis to cause some uproar in our markets, and we're definitely seeing that.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes sense, and there was a lot of confusion as to why the interest rates were going up when the Fed had just reduced the prime rate, because wasn't that like kind of simultaneous?
Yes.
The Fed reduced the prime rate, which would tell people that rates should get better. And for somebody that doesn't know any better, they think it might happen like immediately, and it doesn't. Like we know. It
Yes.
takes a little bit of time, but typically they will come down.
Yeah.
And they went up over a point. And I remember just like shaking my head. I'm like, what just happened? So
Me
that,
too.
yeah. But that's good perspective for everybody to understand like why that happened.
Right.
And it makes sense. So you said a minute ago that there was a dramatic, I think you said it was a dramatic decrease to rates. What does that mean? Like where are rates at right now?
Well, so 3 weeks ago, rates went down. We were in the mid to low 3% range,
Mhm.
and we jumped up to the low mid 4% range. Now we're just peaking just below 4% right now. But based on what we're seeing with the Fed involvement, we should see interest rates be in that mid 3% to low 3% range eventually. So if you can be patient, if you are in a position to be patient, what we're working with folks on, especially folks that are interested in refinancing, consult with your mortgage professional, determine what interest rate makes sense so that you have everything in alignment. So when they see that interest rate, you're in a position to secure it and close your loan quickly.
Yeah.
If you're in the market to purchase real estate, or if you're in an active contract affected what you're doing, you need to make so that you can secure your interest rate. Interest rates, regardless of where they're at right now, whether we're mid fours or mid threes, historical low, fantastic. It's just that people see the potential of what it could be, but the potential doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're getting. Things can change at a moment's time, and we've really experienced that over the last week.
Yeah. Well, that change in the interest rate, it affects people's purchasing power.
Yes.
So 1% in the rate, essentially equates to about 10% of their purchasing power.
Mhm.
So this is a real life example. We had a buyer that is a first time home buyer. So they were just coming into the market. We met with them about 2 weeks ago, and they were looking for a single family home at the very bottom of the price point in the area that they were looking. And when that happened, like there were no single family homes that they could get into. So they had to think, okay,
Sure.
are we going to wait, or are we going to change our criteria and maybe look at an attached townhome or something like that? So,
Yeah.
those are conversations and that we had to have. So,
I think it's also important for people to understand why they're purchasing real estate. And as you know, the number one reason to purchase real estate is to lock in your cost of living as it is today.
yeah,
So a lot of, often people will say, well, what do you think? Should I wait? And when you evaluate, well, what's the cost of waiting? That's really compelling information too. So sure, you might have to just, change the type of property that you're purchasing, but there's still a value in purchasing real estate regardless of what's going on. So I think being prepared and understanding, especially right now with where the markets are trading, we will see some normalcy. It will eventually settle down, but understanding on the high end, this is where my payments would be. On the low end, this is where my payments will be, and create a strategy around that so that you can keep moving forward in the real estate market.
yeah. Well, not only are you locking in your cost of living, but you also have the wealth building. You're not paying somebody else's mortgage, and you also get the tax benefit. So there are just
Right.
so many other reasons besides that. The reality is, though, right now, like people may not be able to buy a house, and
Right.
I mean, I think that is going to be the reality maybe by the end of today, and that's okay. For a lot of people, they just maybe want to buy, and now may not be the best time if you just want to buy. Like
Sure.
so much stuff going on in the world that we have to figure out and get through, and people are like, we're overwhelming the healthcare facilities, and
Right.
people are sick. So
Yeah.
like we've got to just hunker down and do what we got to do to protect our family and our employees and our
Yeah.
friends and like all of that stuff. But also on the flip side, like some people, they need to move.
Right.
So
Sure.
it'll be interesting to see what happens potentially later today with
Right.
with the shutdown.
Right.
When
Stay home.
Totally, yeah. I mean that's the message right now is just stay home.
Right.
I'm just curious, what was your first interest rate on your home? Because we're talking about like around 4% right now, and it maybe gets down to 3.5%. What was yours?
Right. Yeah. So I looked it up. 5.875 was my first interest rate, which is not bad.
It's not bad.
Not terrible. Yeah.
I
What was yours?
I remember those years. I was first licensed in 1999, bought my first home in 2001, I want to say. 2000 or 2000, no, it was 2000. And it was 7.25.
Wow.
It was 7.25. And I just didn't even blink. I thought it was normal because it was normal at the time.
Right.
So we're talking about 4% interest rates, and people have this perception like it's always been this way. It has not always been this way.
Right. Especially not in the 80s. My parents love to tell me their interest rate, which was in the 15%.
Yep.
And there's a law of average that we've talked about before. Typically when interest rates are lower, property values tend to be a little bit higher. And as interest rates increase, that's when we will see, property values level out a little bit. So again, that cost of living, that piece is going to continue staying on par, but it's important where you lock it in at as things continue to evolve. In the area, which you can probably speak to this a little bit, but we have to see here.
I think we have
happen in that market. Can you hear me?
So, yeah, I can hear you, but it was kind of breaking up a little bit. So I don't know.
Okay. We'll see. I was just talking about our lease laws, our landlord laws around here, and that those rents probably won't have a whole big significant impact or change depending on what happens in our economy. So that makes purchasing even more compelling.
Yep, for sure. So with all of this chaos that's going on in our lives in the world and affecting so many people, how are you managing the change right now? What are you doing different to stay productive and on top of everything for your business and clients?
I mean, a big part of it is educating people on what's happening. And it's happening so quickly that those conversations change every day. So it's allowing people to be prepared, and again, going off of that range of, on the high end, this is where things are going to be. On the low end, historically, everything's still fantastic, and we're going to move forward with the best possible plan in place, so that, again, if people are at the very top of their range when they're out there shopping around, if things do adjust, we don't want them to do all of that hard work. We don't want real estate agents to do all of this hard work and realize, well, we didn't have an adequate plan in place based on the current temperature. So educating, creating those plans, and continuing to adjust as things change is key for everybody, not just us as the professionals, but for the clients as well.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations between all of our team members over the past week, and it's just amazing that people are genuinely curious, like what is happening right now with the mortgages, with interest rates, and with my real estate, because like we all know that the vast majority of a person's wealth is tied up in their real estate. Sure. And what's happened in the financial market, like I don't know what the percentage is, but people have lost a good percentage of their wealth. And markets go up, they go down. Like our financial system will come back and stocks will go back up again. We just have to get through this time. But people are genuinely concerned, and it's valid. So we've been having a lot of those conversations as well, and just educating on people what's going on out there.
Right. Sure.
So let's switch up a little bit. What are you doing to just give back? Because there are a lot of people that are going through some stuff right now.
Yes.
So what does that look like for you?
So one of our focus here at All Pacific Mortgage, just kind of more grassroots. We've been connecting with a lot of the elderly community just to see what they need during this time. So we've offered to go take supplies or run groceries. My office is in Tualatin, Oregon. And so we've connected with a few of the neighboring communities just to really see what they need. So that'll evolve over time. But I just think even the smallest thing that anybody can get out and do is going to make a huge impact, even if it's just on one person right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe not get out and do, but
True.
sure.
True.
Unless you have a 6-foot bubble, which,
Yeah.
there have been people that have been paying attention to that and other people that have not. So,
Right. I think even just calling and offering to send groceries, I mean, those services are still available. So I think there's ways that we can work around to still support our community while adhering to social distancing.
yeah, 100%. Um, we've
What
been,
about you guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've just really been focusing on the local business community because we're deeply invested in the Wilsonville community. Our office has been here for a long time, and all of our friends are small business owners in Wilsonville, and a lot of our past clients are as well, and a lot of them are really hurting. And like the reality is, some of them may not come back from this, as far as
Right.
like, what their business looked like, or even in the same business.
Sure.
So like whatever we can do to make the smallest impact in helping those businesses just get through this time so they can get to the other side and like start rebuilding again. My wife started a local page on Facebook supporting those business owners and really creating awareness around what businesses are still open, like what are their services, or do they have takeout that is available? Please, like just imploring people to support the local businesses however they can, just to keep them afloat during this time, because
That's great.
it's hard now, and it's going to get harder. Like
Sure.
every day that goes by, every week, and every month, it's gonna continue to get harder. So
Yeah.
we're just doing whatever we can.
Yeah. That's great. Good. Thanks for doing that for us, all of us small business owners.
I know. Uh, you're welcome. So the world is changing, and like I think that it's more important than ever that people get guidance from experts in their industry, and like you're one of the best of the best. So how can people reach you if they do have questions?
Sure. People can call, text, email anytime you have questions, whether you're working with us as your financial resource or not. We pride ourselves in educating. And so if there is a question, I don't know if there's a way to link my information or not, but my name
Okay.
is Annie. I'm with All Pacific Mortgage, and 503-706-0458 is my personal cell phone. So anytime people have questions or just kind of want to know what they should do, then we're here to help continue moving that needle, because it's necessary and we need it to happen.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's just information right now,
Right.
just because there is so much volatility and chaos and uncertainty, some people just want to have a conversation to find
Right.
out, like from an expert, what is going on.
Exactly.
So I've obviously been doing videos for a very long time, helping to educate our consumers. I did a video update on what I see happening in the market, and the differences that I see between the market crash of 2008 and today. And clearly they're very, very different. So like we're just going to keep providing you guys with information to help educate you with what's going on. So if you want to find that video or any other videos, all you have to do is go to any single one of our social sites. On Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram and YouTube, and we update every single one of those platforms on a regular basis with information just like this, just like you see today. So all you have to do is just type in Green Group Real Estate typically, and you'll be able to find us. So Annie, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Even though you're probably just in like a home office or something and you're stuck at home, so you don't have anywhere else to go. I'm assuming you don't have anything else to do either, right?
Nothing.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that I saw the smile and the laugh, because we all need a little bit of levity right now, and just a little joy in our lives. because
Yeah.
it really is hard out there for a lot of people. So if we can make it any easier, even if it's non-real estate related, has nothing to do with real estate, like if somebody just needs anything, they need some food delivered, or they need to just have an ear to listen to, like,
Absolutely.
I'm here. So thank you again for joining us today, and we'll have to do it again one of these days soon. Okay.
Sounds great. Thanks, Andy.
Okay. Thanks, Annie.
Talk to you later. Bye.